They stand silent beneath the desert sun, colossal, timeless, almost breathing. The pyramids of Egypt are more than monuments of stone. They are messages carved into eternity. For centuries, they have defied explanation. How could a civilization with no modern machines raise millions of limestone blocks, each weighing tons, with such mathematical precision that even today we cannot replicate their perfection? But perhaps the real question is not how they were built, but why. Imagine for a moment that these vast stone structures are not tombs, but temples of transformation, ancient instruments designed to initiate the human soul into higher consciousness. The Great Pyramid, known to the ancients as the Light, was never merely a royal burial site. It was a living symbol, a map of the cosmos, the human spirit, and the laws that bind both together. Hidden within its geometry is a code, proportions that echo the structure of the earth, the moon, and the stars. The pyramid is aligned so precisely with the cardinal directions that its error margin is less than a fraction of a degree. Its proportions encode the mathematical constants of nature, pi and phi, revealing a science that transcends time. And for those initiated into the mysteries, these were not coincidences. They were the language of the divine, proof that matter itself is conscious, and that geometry is the bridge between heaven and earth. In today's journey, we will step beyond the sand and stone and into the hidden heart of these mysteries. We'll uncover what the pyramids were truly built for, the alchemy of the soul. We'll explore how ancient initiates used them as instruments of enlightenment, tools to awaken dormant energies within the human being. And finally, we'll reveal how you can apply these same principles today to unlock the dormant pyramid within yourself. Because the truth is this: the greatest pyramid ever built is not in Giza. It is the one hidden in your own being, the inner temple of light waiting to be reawakened. To understand the secret teachings of the pyramids, we must first remember that ancient Egypt was not a civilization obsessed with death, as many modern historians claim. It was a civilization devoted to life, eternal, conscious, luminous life. The word they used for temple, per necher, means house of the divine. Every structure, every symbol, every ritual was designed to reflect the great cosmic order they called ma'at, harmony, balance, truth, and divine law. The pyramids were the highest expression of this philosophy. The ancients called them merkets, instruments of ascension, spiritual engines intended to guide the soul back to its divine origin. To them, the physical world was only a reflection of higher realities, and the human being was a living microcosm of the cosmos itself. The pyramid, then, was not merely a construction of stone. It was a physical manifestation of the spiritual architecture of man. According to the ancient texts, particularly those of the Hermetic tradition attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, known to the Egyptians as Thoth, that which is above is like that which is below. The Great Pyramid was built on this very principle. Its base rests upon the earth, the realm of matter, while its apex points to the heavens, symbolizing the soul's ascent through the planes of existence. Within its chambers, the initiate would undergo symbolic death and rebirth, descending into darkness, then ascending toward the light. This was not superstition. It was the science of initiation, the process of awakening higher states of consciousness through the precise alignment of mind, body, and spirit. Ancient sources tell us that before the Great Pyramid was ever built, Egypt had already inherited the wisdom of earlier ages from Atlantis, or what the priests called Zep Tepi, the first time. In this primordial era, divine beings, or Neteru, taught humanity the laws of creation, vibration, polarity, rhythm, correspondence. These became the 7 Hermetic principles, which later resurfaced in the Kybalion and other esoteric texts. The pyramids encoded these laws in stone, using geometry as their sacred language. For instance, the pyramid's angle of inclination mirrors the relationship between light and shadow, a tangible representation of the Hermetic law of polarity. The precise alignment with the stars of Orion and Sirius reveals the law of correspondence, the connection between human destiny and cosmic order. Even the air shafts, long believed to be mere ventilation, align with celestial constellations tied to resurrection and spiritual rebirth. Everything had purpose. Nothing was random. Philosophically, the pyramids represented the union of opposites, matter and spirit, heaven and earth, life and death. To walk through their corridors was to symbolically travel through the planes of consciousness. The king's chamber was not a tomb. It was a resonant chamber, an amplifier of energy and sound. Some researchers believe that specific frequencies generated by chanting or sound resonance would activate the chamber, creating a vibrational field that could alter consciousness. This was the technology of the soul, not mechanical, but energetic and spiritual. The ancient priests, known as the Shim-Su-Hor, the followers of Horus, were not builders in the modern sense. They were initiates, guardians of sacred knowledge. Their mission was to preserve the science of light, sound, and vibration, the language of creation itself. And the pyramids were their living textbooks. But what exactly were these structures designed to teach? What is the curriculum encoded in their stones, the initiatory wisdom that guided souls toward enlightenment? To answer that, we must go beyond history and geometry. We must step inside the pyramid itself, not as tourists, but as seekers. And that is where our journey truly begins. When the ancient initiates entered the Great Pyramid, they did not come as builders, priests, or kings. They came as souls in training. Each chamber, passageway, and mathematical proportion represented a stage of inner transformation, a process of purification, death, and resurrection that mirrored the very journey of consciousness itself. To the uninitiated, the pyramid was simply a structure of stone. But to those who understood its hidden language, it was a living symbol, a mirror of the human being. Its base represented the material world, its apex the realm of pure spirit. Between these two extremes, the initiate would travel, mastering the forces of nature, balancing the energies within, and ultimately remembering their divine origin. The first teaching of the pyramid is alignment. Just as the pyramid itself is perfectly aligned to true north, an orientation so precise it surpasses modern architectural standards, so too must the seeker align their own inner compass. This means bringing one's thoughts, emotions, and actions into harmony with Ma, the universal order. In esoteric philosophy, this alignment is what opens the channel between the lower self and the higher self. It is the foundation of initiation, the point where the human begins to resonate with the cosmic. The second teaching is ascent through the inner chambers. The initiate began in darkness, the descending passage, symbolic of the descent into matter, ignorance, and ego. The narrowness of the passage forced humility. The body bent low, the mind surrendered. This was the stage of purification, where the false self, the illusion of separation, began to dissolve. From there, one would reach the so-called Queen's Chamber, which represented the awakening of feeling, the heart center. Here, the initiate learned the art of inner stillness. Ancient sources suggest that harmonic tones were used within this chamber to balance the energetic centers of the body, preparing the initiate for the higher mysteries ahead. The heart was considered the bridge between worlds, the place where divine intelligence could be felt rather than merely thought. Then came the Grand Gallery, a steep, echoing corridor that symbolized the rising of the life force, or kundalini. As the initiate climbed upward, sound would reverberate through the limestone walls, magnifying the resonance of chants and breath. Every vibration had purpose. Every tone activated energy fields within the body. The ancients understood what modern science is only beginning to rediscover: that sound can shape matter, and that frequency governs form. The initiate was being tuned, literally, to the frequency of higher consciousness. Finally, one would reach the King's Chamber, the place of resurrection. The sarcophagus in its center was not a coffin, but a vessel, an instrument of initiation. Here, in total darkness and silence, the initiate lay in perfect stillness, undergoing a controlled death of the ego. Through breathwork, sound, and focused consciousness, the body's energies were aligned with the cosmic pulse. The initiate experienced the dissolution of the personal self, the merging of the finite with the infinite. This was the great work, the alchemical transmutation of the human being from lead to gold, from density to light. The pyramid was the crucible, and consciousness was the element being refined. At the moment of rebirth, the initiate emerged as a living sun, embodying the wisdom of Ra, illumination made flesh. This is why the ancient kings took the title Son of the Sun. They had symbolically died to the world and been reborn as vessels of divine consciousness. In this first half of the teaching, we see that the pyramid was not built to honor death, but to teach immortality. It revealed, step by step, the sacred science of ascension, alignment, purification, vibration, death, and rebirth. But there is still a deeper layer, one hidden not in its chambers, but in its very proportions. For the pyramid encodes the mathematics of creation itself, and within those numbers lies the map of consciousness.
The deeper mysteries of the pyramids are not written in words, but in numbers. Geometry, for the ancients, was not just mathematics. It was sacred communication with the cosmos. The proportions of the Great Pyramid mirrored the hidden harmonies of creation itself. Every angle, every length, every ratio carries a vibration. And through this vibration, consciousness expresses itself into form. If you take the height of the Great Pyramid and double its base, the ratio encodes the mathematical constant pi with astonishing precision. Another of its measurements reveals phi, the golden ratio, a proportion found in the spiral of galaxies, the curve of seashells, and the structure of DNA. In other words, the Great Pyramid is a stone embodiment of universal order. It is geometry frozen in time, a message from the architects of the cosmos. To the initiates, this was not coincidence. These proportions were deliberate keys, reminders that the universe operates according to divine mathematics. Just as the pyramid's geometry governs its stability, the soul's geometry determines its harmony. A human being out of alignment with cosmic law becomes unstable, dissonant, fragmented. but one who learns to live by these proportions, to think, feel, and act in rhythm with the universe, becomes like the pyramid itself, immovable, radiant, eternal. This is why the pyramid's apex, when measured against its base, mirrors the angle of sunlight at specific points of the year, particularly during the equinoxes and solstices. It was built as an instrument of resonance, harmonizing with celestial cycles. In this sense, the pyramid acted as a tuning fork for the Earth's energy field, aligning human consciousness with cosmic frequency. The ancient priests taught that this resonance was the key to immortality. Not immortality of the body, but of awareness. When the human energy field vibrates in perfect accord with the divine, the illusion of death dissolves. The initiate becomes aware of their eternal nature. The pyramid, then, was both map and mirror, a tool for remembering one's origin beyond time and matter. But there is yet another layer, a metaphysical one. The pyramids were said to be built upon powerful energy nodes, intersections of the planet's electromagnetic grid. These locations amplify subtle forces that affect both Earth's and the human body's energy systems. Ancient builders harnessed these currents intentionally, just as a modern engineer might harness electricity. The Great Pyramid's inner chambers, constructed of granite rich in quartz, acted as energy resonators. Quartz vibrates when subjected to sound and electromagnetic waves, meaning the pyramid could literally hum with energy when activated through sound, intention, or ritual. This is why many initiates describe the pyramid not as architecture, but as a machine, a spiritual technology designed to raise frequency and awaken the light body. In esoteric symbolism, this light body is the Merkaba, the chariot of ascension. The very word pyramid derives from the Greek pure, fire, and metos, measure, the measure of fire. It was a vessel for divine energy, a place where human and cosmic fire could merge. Now consider the layout of the three pyramids of Giza. Their alignment mirrors the stars of Orion's belt, the celestial representation of Osiris, the god of resurrection. The Sphinx nearby gazes eternally toward the rising sun, symbolizing the eternal watcher, the awakened consciousness that transcends death. Together, these monuments form a celestial map, the soul's journey from darkness to light, from matter to spirit. The pyramid's builders understood something we have forgotten, that the universe is alive. Every shape, every sound, every number is part of a vast symphony of energy. The pyramids were the instruments through which humanity could once play its part consciously. In the Hermetic sense, the pyramid represents the three great stages of spiritual evolution: transmutation, mastery of the material self; transformation, awakening of the spiritual self; transcendence, union with the divine mind. The initiate who completed this process did not become a god in the mythic sense, but a fully awakened human being, a being who remembered their cosmic origin and lived in harmony with all that is. And so the Great Pyramid remains, not a tomb, but a mirror for the soul, whispering across millennia. Know thyself, and thou shalt know the secrets of the gods and of the universe. It's easy to stand in awe of the Great Pyramid and imagine its mysteries as something distant, locked away in an ancient age, accessible only to priests and initiates. But the secret teachings of the pyramids were never meant to stay in stone. They were always meant to be lived. The ancients believed that the pyramid was not merely a monument on the desert sands. It was a reflection of the human being itself. The same sacred geometry that shapes the stones of Giza is hidden in your breath, your heartbeat, your spine, your consciousness. The human body is the living temple, and through specific practices, you can awaken the same harmonies that once resonated in those sacred chambers. Let's explore how. The first key is alignment. Just as the pyramid aligns perfectly with the four directions, you must align your own inner world, thought, emotion, and action, so they point toward the same true north. Spend a few moments each day in quiet observation. Watch your thoughts without judgment. Are they chaotic, scattered, or in harmony with what you truly wish to become? Ancient initiates believed that every thought was a brick in the construction of one's inner temple. Aligning them is the first act of sacred architecture. The second key is resonance. Sound and breath were central to the pyramid's rituals because vibration is the bridge between spirit and matter. Begin each morning with a few minutes of deep, rhythmic breathing. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and imagine drawing energy up through the base of the spine like climbing the grand gallery toward the light. As you breathe, intone a simple tone, a low hum that you can feel vibrating in your chest and skull. This hum aligns the energy centers, just as chanting did for the ancient initiates within the stone chambers. If done consistently, this simple act strengthens your aura, calms the nervous system, and awakens subtle perception, the ability to feel the harmony of life itself. The third key is ascension through awareness. Every chamber of the pyramid corresponds to a stage of consciousness. The lower passages symbolize unconscious life, reacting, fearing, desiring. The middle chamber represents awakening, seeing yourself as both human and divine. The upper chamber symbolizes illumination, the moment you realize that the observer and the observed are one. You can mirror this ascent by bringing awareness into every part of your life. When anger arises, observe it. When fear surfaces, breathe into it. Each moment of presence is another step upward through the inner pyramid. The fourth key is silence. In the king's chamber, the initiate lay in stillness, suspended between breath and eternity. Silence was not emptiness, it was a portal. Try to create moments of true silence each day, not just absence of sound, but a still mind. When you rest in that stillness, you begin to hear the same subtle hum that vibrates through the stones of Giza, the frequency of creation itself. The fifth key is geometry in action. The Hermetic adept said, "As above, so below." This means that your environment reflects your inner world. Clean your space. Arrange your desk, your home, even your meals with symmetry, proportion, and intention. By bringing order to your surroundings, you train your subconscious mind to recognize and attract harmony. This is sacred geometry made practical, transforming everyday life into spiritual practice. And finally, the sixth key is devotion to light.